I'm all right. It's nice to see Spurs win. Just shame we aren't consistent.
Mm-hmm. That is the only thing that does very bug me. We're very consistent at being inconsistent, but I suppose we can't have it all at the moment. And we're also joined by Luke from Rilvary TV. Luke, how are you this evening?
Yeah, really good, Hollie. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate you allowing me back on the channel. But yeah, all good. Look, it's Monday, isn't it? But Spurs won the weekend, so it makes the week a little bit easier until tomorrow.
Indeed. I'm glad you put that in there because we do have that game tomorrow, but we're going to slow down slightly just for now. And also joined by Max. Max, how are you this evening as well?
Yep, I'm always good. Monday's out of the way. Only 4 days left the rest of the week, and obviously Spurs tomorrow. Hopefully another win, but it's nice to obviously win, especially when it's an early kickoff.
100%. And we haven't had many of them in a long while, so it's quite nice to obviously buck the trend for once and actually win a early kickoff. I just want to say a big thank you to Ross as well. Ross, thank you for coming in straight away and being a club legend. So if I'd get that out.
I see that straight up. I know. Big member.
What a geezer. What a geezer. And Darren's here as well. Welcome, Darren, and he's saying hello and all to the panel. So let's start off. Now, I want to start obviously with the wing-backs because the wing-backs was, like we say, it's sometimes a bit of a disappointing point at Tottenham because we don't necessarily have the best ones. But Sam, I'll start with you because obviously we saw the introduction of Doherty and Sessegnon, and right from the off, it actually worked against Leeds. So what were your kind of thoughts of those two playing and what they contributed to the game?
Yeah, exactly how you said it. It worked. Leeds' defence was, in all fairness, woeful, but it's not one of those things because the opposition were really bad. The wing-backs stood out because the wing-backs actually put in a solid shift. Credit to Doherty as well for getting the goal. It was a really good, tidy finish as well. That pass from Sessegnon to Doherty, it was one of those moments that we just really wanted to see for ages between our wing backs, and it was nice to have seen that happen. I think when I think it was Doherty when he got subbed off, and Emerson came on. I think it was Doherty who came off. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
No, I think didn't Sess come off and then Doherty went over to the left?
I can't
remember.
All I know is Leeds got spanked.
yeah, but when he came off, the defence looked a little bit not exposed, but didn't perform as well. So for us to have had that solid start with the wing backs, it was real positive to see. Just through the basis of how disappointed we've been this season with our wing backs, really.
As like Ross has said here, the fact that obviously I think Conte's system does rely heavily on obviously having those two wing backs. And
yeah,
I was going to come to you, Luke, because obviously it's been a while since we've seen them actually do a wing back thing, so to speak, in the sense of bombing down the wing and then slotting it across and the other one stick it in the back of the net. You seem to think that should be something that should be drilled into players that play in that position from the off. Yeah,
definitely. We've had a lot of inconsistency with wing backs, haven't we? At some point we've played Emerson and Reguilon, then we played Sessegnon and Emerson. This week we played Doherty and Sessegnon. It's really difficult, like Conte obviously has a thing for Sessegnon. I think when he first came, he talked a lot about how good of a player he was and how excited he was to work with him. And then within 20 minutes or 30 minutes of his first game, he got sent off. And then with Sessegnon, he came with such a high price tag in a sense, and he also came with a high reputation. And he's never ever got over those injuries and got form. He's been loaned out, so it's good to see him playing well. Obviously, Reggie's injured, so wonder if you'll see him in there once Reggie's back. But yeah, look, it's good to see. I want to be positive. I do want to be positive, and it was a good win, and I'm happy with it. But Leeds are woeful, aren't they, man?
I mean, you said it. I think we all kind of said it. So it showed that we had to obviously push on to get this win because unlike against Burnley, when we all thought, right, okay, we've done this against City, let's try and break down this team. We couldn't do it. But against Leeds, we actually put our words where our mouth is and actually went out and did it. And obviously, Max, I think that is also credit to Cesc because I think, like we've all kind of alluded to, he played brilliantly. And I think there's rumours that he's going to be offered a new contract from Tottenham. Now, I think competition for space is really good, and especially when you've got those wing backs that can be quite woeful. Do you think it's obviously a good interest that Sessegnon and Reguilon could both be fighting for that position now, rather than just being Reguilon being the head man?
Well, definitely. I think if you've got a place to fight for, you're obviously going to want to put like 10-10 performances each game. I feel like it's probably a bit too early to be offering someone that's played like 2-3 really good games, if that, against obviously like Luke said, Leeds, someone a new contract. But I guess it could work in their favour. It might give you a big boost of confidence. But you know what? It's just nice to see a solid victory. Obviously, Burnley was a bit of a massive letdown. But when teams come out and attack Spurs, we seem to play so much better because the game's so much open. And when you've got those wing backs that can get in behind and create chances, I mean, like Sam was saying, when that first goal, both wing backs were like up the top of the pitch, and that's what you want them to be doing. That's what Conte's game plan is. He wants their team to be doing that. It's just he didn't find straight away which two he wanted to use. Like Reggie's obviously a clear fan favourite. Everyone loves him. He lacks that crossing ability. Maybe Cesc might have that, but then Cesc didn't have the confidence to be able to perform good. So because he hasn't been playing, so it's all about how many games they play. And I do think we'll end up going out and getting a right back in the summer. God knows who that might be. I have no idea. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say Doherty's a world beater. I do like Emerson Royale. I think he's okay. But I mean, it's like with Barcelona, have let someone go knowing that someone with that sort of talent. I don't know. So we just got at the moment. It's taking every game as it comes, especially with Conte's comments as well. That obviously that it goes hit from one beating City, the highs and then the lows of you losing to Burnley. It looks like he's going to walk when you've just beat the champions. So beating Leeds was like a must. They're all a must at the moment. I mean, obviously our rivals, we've still got the game coming against them. That's the 6 point now. I think that's the one I've got my eyes on anyway. I mean, obviously tomorrow I just want to get that done. Hopefully he plays a strong team, gets that game killed off early. I mean, teams that press us, like I was saying, they're the ones that we have no weakness to that, because as much as I hate us playing out from the back as well, we actually look comfortable with it. It's horrible to see. Other than Lloris, no, yeah. I'm happy to see our centre backs like Romero. He's a boss on the ball. Dyer looks a different player as long as he's got someone solid next to him. And then the wing backs, they're good on the ball. So it's just finding. It seems to be working. We're getting there slowly. It's just going to be every game, like as it comes until the summer, though.
Yeah, 100%. And it is really interesting that you've also spoken about the two in the middle, because, again, it went through a phase of trying to figure out what our best kind of dynamic was. But, Sam, I know you're about to go for a drink, so I'll waffle for a bit. But I'm going to come to you because obviously we've got the likes of Dyer, Romero and Davies as well. Yeah. And I know you've spoken about Hugo as well, Max, because Hugo had a bit of a, shall we say, a wobbly again. I feel like I've jinxed him ever since I wrote that clickbaity title. But I feel like he had a bit of a wobbler again, obviously causing Davies to come back like a steam train, to put his body on the line to stop that ball from going in the box. So, Sam, do you think having the likes of Dyer and Romero actually kind of settles the back line as well as a whole?
If we're talking about back four and we're talking about Dyer, Romero, yeah. We're talking about back five, no, because Davies... I don't want to be saying these things because Davies did save us there, although I think it was Stuart Dallas took way too long to take the shot and gave Davies all the time to just come charging like a bulldozer to stop that. But we need someone who actually plays naturally in that department. And for me, I just don't think Davies is a centre back. Like, sure, he could be a backup left back, or at the very worst, if we need a left wing back. I mean, he plays as a left back, but left wing back / centre back. Nah, we do preferably need to start focusing a lot on a rebuild this summer. I know we probably all say that every year, but if we want to get to where we want to get, particularly certain players that fill that defensive role, it's not going to work for us, and as well other departments on the pitch as well.
Yeah, and it is interesting you say it because you obviously talk about other departments on the pitch. And Luke, I'll come to this because the man behind me is still on my dartboard because he hasn't redeemed himself just yet. But obviously, talking about that first goal, it was an exquisite part. And I can't just say that he's been excellent for one great pass, but he did put a good ball through. Now, last time we had Mickey Hazard on, he says he needs to work on, obviously, his phases of play. And I feel like if you give him a rundown of what he needs to do, he can execute it because we saw that pass. So, Luke, were you worried when obviously Bentancur done his zip-in against Burnley? Were you worried bringing Winks in the side was going to make things falter?
Well, not necessarily like bringing Winks in, just when Bentancur, got injured, of course. Like, I think he started phenomenally well. And I think he's a real asset to have in the middle of the park. He's calm on the ball, can, take good touches and play the ball well. I like Harry Winks. I've not got this huge hate for him, to be honest. I think he's a decent player, but he's not at the level that we want to be at. But to come in and do a job, like when he's calm and collected, of course, he's absolutely fine. The pass through to Cess was really good. I was actually a bit annoyed that Leeds didn't score because I had a really good bet on, and the only thing I was waiting on was both teams to score. And then when they had the 1-on-1, I thought, how's he missed? But I think, look, I don't really dislike Winks. I think, as I said, he can do a job, but long term, we need to be looking at better players.
I mean,
he's not going to win us the league, put it that way. Do you know what I mean?
No.
If we think, if the aspirations of Conte and apparently Levy are, that they want to transform us into a team that can win the league, then Harry Winks isn't a team that win the league.
100%. I think you said it nicer than I would, because I would have thrown some through darts behind me. But apart from, obviously, Højbjerg and Winks, I feel are slightly the same in an aspect of their qualities, in the sense, I know Højbjerg picked out a brilliant pass as well. I think it was for Harry Kane's goal, Max. But were you worried as well of those two playing in the middle? They're quite similar in a sense that they have a rash tackle in them, or they're not necessarily great with them. I know they absolutely ridiculed me at the weekend because they did put two great balls in. So was that a shocking surprise for them to have done that, or do you think it's just go for it?
I even quote tweeted you before the game on Twitter saying Winks is going to have the worst game of his life, as I always think. And then 5 minutes later, arguably one of the best passes that I've seen him make this season. I could comment on it week in, week out, slating Harry Winks, and things just don't change. But my view on him doesn't change. He could literally score a couple of goals and assists, and I'll still say, yeah, we need to replace him. I just feel without some of the other players around him, he's not going to be the man of the match performance. He's not going to be the player that shines. There's always going to be someone else in that team that has a better performance than Harry Winks. Højbjerg gets stuck in. I mean, that word, the Vikings, obviously floated around all season. He's very hit and miss, but I do love him. I think he's not afraid to obviously get stuck in, shout. Winks, I don't know. I feel like I probably am too harsh on him. I probably am, and I was eating my words the other day. But Bentancur will solidify his place in that team with Højbjerg. I'd be more than happy if there's two for it to be those two, because the flair that Bentancur has in that first game, he's already done more in the last few games than most of the team. Than Ndombele, Lo Celso. To be honest, I'm not even missing Ndombele and Lo Celso, because what did they actually offer other than Ndombele doing 360 spins in the middle of the park and beating a few players? And then he's a brilliant FIFA player. He can turn on the ball and then he does nothing else. He's literally he's holding the controller upside down the whole time. That guy, he's just, I don't know. I'm hoping that in the summer I know I keep saying about the summer, it's because the season, as much as we keep grinding out and getting close to that top four, we go and bottle something, don't we? As per, so it'll be nice for Conte to actually have the team he wants going into next season. That's if he's still here. But I know your whole question was on Winks, and that's why I'm just avoiding him. I don't know. I think
Cody's put it pretty much spot on there, to be honest. But no, I think I want to come to you as well, because obviously we've spoken about Bentancur, we've spoken about obviously Højbjerg and Winks, but Max, Sam, sorry, I want to come to you obviously about Skip, because obviously I think Conte's had his press conference for tomorrow, and I think he said that obviously Bentancur might be back in the next game, not tomorrow, but Skip might be out for a little bit longer. Now, Skip is another one that obviously adds that bit of dynamic in the middle. Now, would you like to see a Skip times Bentancur dynamic? What's your kind of thoughts on that? Do you think Skip is up the pecking order higher than, say, Winks or Højbjerg, or do you think not?
It's obviously harsh with what's going on with Skip at the moment. It's never easy for a young player when they pick up an injury and then, a new player of the similar department gets signed just like that. Of course, we still miss him, but football-wise, they haven't really been missed when these players have been performing well. In terms of the pecking order, look, I mean, Skip is just valued a lot because, yes, he can put in a good performance, and also he is one of our own as well. You know, those are the two main factors. That's why, obviously, Winks probably still has a soft spot for some fans, him being one of our own. I feel like Højbjerg, I mean, look, he had a great first season, no doubt about that. You know, next season, all right, certain fans tend to complain. I didn't at first, then I did. I'm starting to see Højbjerg more as like sort of one who's like really good at, you know, putting challenges in, intercepting, etc. But then when they're like these other duties that are needed, you see him absent from that, and then that kind of like gets quite irritating. But as it stands, you know, I think my pecking order, really, it's got to be Bentancur up top at first, because since I've seen Bentancur play, he's been completely tidy in the middle, been able to retain position, crucial passes he's made as well to the wing backs, etc. He has to go first for me. Maybe it's early days, I don't know, but from what I'm seeing so far, Bentancur is up there for me. And yeah, like Max said as well, you know, we have, even though we've lost more than we've actually signed players in, we haven't tend to have looked back on the days of Lo Celso and Ndombele. Mm-hmm. So then the order, really, it's just like at the moment, it's Bentancur first, and whoever can scramble for second. Obviously, it's just going to have to be Højbjerg there, and then I guess Winks or Skip can try and battle out for third, really, in terms of the pecking order list. But I don't know, maybe we're being too harsh on Højbjerg, and okay, I don't think we're being harsh on Winks personally, but
it is what it is.
Some of these players,
you know what,
yeah, exactly. It is what it is. Some of these players have got to step up. Sorry, Max, what are you going to say?
No, it's great. Like we say, we stand here ripping these players, and Winks had arguably a great ball, and Højbjerg set up Kane. So
yeah, but this is the thing, though.
But they don't do it enough. That's the
problem.
Yeah,
exactly. That's what I wanted to touch on, because people will say, obviously, like, oh, get behind your players. They just had a good game. But to look at the bigger picture, it's like once every 5 or 6 games. There's a reason why we're annoyed at them, because those other games, they've been the complete opposite to how well they performed from the other day.
Mm. And that's the thing. It's just frustrating. It really is. And I know you've obviously spoken about Bentancur, and I, on paper, I wouldn't have put him as the player that I was excited for, because Kulusevski was the player I was excited for because of his versatility. But I think Bentancur, apart from his injury, obviously, I hope it's not going to set him back too much. He has been excellent in the middle, like you said, Sam. The way he can just turn like that and take a player the other way, but then actually be progressive with it and not go backwards or lose the ball. He'll retain the possession and play it forward. But we need to talk about Kulusevski as well, don't we, Luke? Because I think the other week I was talking about the fact that he needs to utilise his strength more because he's getting bullied off the ball. But I think he listened, because that individual brilliance from him actually showed that he can use his strength. So what do you take of him in that Leeds game?
Yeah, again, like, let's not take too much, you know, about Leeds. But so I talked earlier, I had this bet on. So he was like in my bet, score any time. So that was lovely when that came in. So I was bigging him up all first half. But yeah, I thought he was brilliant. I thought that, you know, not only his strength to be able to, you know, push players out the way, he's able to drive across the box, but also his composure to be able to slot it near post as well. I really, really like him. I think that he looks like a happy player as well, which sounds a bit stupid, but the one thing I really love about Son is how much he loves playing for Spurs. And it looks like this is a turning point for Kulusevski as well. You know, I think he kind of fell out of favour at Juventus, and I think he had a good time when he was, forgive me, I'm not too great on his backstory, but like at Parma, I think it was, he was really, really good. And so he then kind of fell out of favour at Juventus. So to come to Spurs, I think it would be one of those moves that, you know, he'll really relish. And I think he'll become a fan favourite over time as well. It'd be sad for me, because obviously you know how much of a Lucas Moura fan I am. But, you know, we have to move on from these things, don't we? We have to progress forward. And if the front three is Son, Kane and Kulu, then I'm more than happy with that. But the good thing about Bentancur, going back to that, is one of the things I've noticed from Conte is obviously we play out from the back, but usually what happens is a straight ball through the middle, which goes to obviously one of the two holding midfielders. And then when the ball gets there, it then either goes out to the wing backs or it goes on to Son or Kulu, whoever's making that move. So you need someone to be able to get the ball quickly, turn and play the ball out. out of all three of those people we all talked about, the one I want getting the ball is Bendencourt, without a doubt. To be able to move the ball quickly and to be able to turn and not lose the ball. And that was one thing Ndombele couldn't do. He may be able to do that 360, as Max said, but, then he would then lose the ball straight away. We concede from it. The only thing I will say to you boys, talking about those two, is that don't forget, they're both on loan and more than likely will end back up at Spurs in the summer. So we've got to get rid of them again.
The joys. Like Max has been on about the summer all night, but let's leave the summer talk about those two. That I don't want to talk about that headache. But going back quickly to Deki, Max, as well. I think Harry Kane was screaming for the ball as well at one point when he was in that box after he did that little run. So the fact that he's obviously got the audacity as well to ignore the call and just go for it himself is something to really be reckoned with, isn't it?
Well, it's nice to obviously see someone. There's not many players you see that are actually like left-footed these days, really. And he's now he plays on the right, so he's cutting in. It's kind of obvious. Like, it's one of them. When you see Salah getting the ball, everyone's like, well, how do you let him cut in on his left? But good players will still find a way to do it. He obviously done that against Leeds, smacked one in. I actually was a bit delayed reaction because I was like, because he hit it near post, I didn't actually think it had gone in straight away. I was like wow, he's obviously got a good strike on him. But I think what it is, he's obviously realising, look, if Kane's there, he's going to get lots of chances because obviously Kane drops deep, and if he's in position, he's going to find him because Kane's passing is just ridiculous. But that right wing position, so to speak, or out of the three, Son, Kane is just like first names on the team sheet, really, when it comes to attacking. And that right hand side, there's always been Lucas Bergwijn or someone else, or even Romero, Real try your luck there, or I don't know, Lo Celso's featured there. That right wing position's never been like this is mine, so to speak. So he's obviously thinking, do you know what? Why not? Why can't I come to Spurs? Why not? I've scored against the champions. We beat Man City. I've scored against Leeds. I've set Kane up. I'm proving I'm a decent player. I'm versatile. I'm good in the air. I'm tall. I might not be the quickest, but do you know what? Kane's your perfect example of someone that doesn't need to be quick and obviously be one of the best players in the world. And I'm not saying Kulu, but he's got so much potential. He's only 21. So he's an exciting player. He's good to see. He's got a trick or two in him. He created that goal pretty much himself. You could argue got a bit lucky the Leeds defender didn't get there, but you know what? He still smacked it home. And you know what? I'd probably play him tomorrow against Middlesbrough, get another goal or assist under his belt, and it starts adding up. When you can't argue with stats sometimes. He might not be the most like Lucas, obviously, when he gets the ball, he can turn, run like 10, 15 metres and he bursts a pace and he's away. But Kulu's not, I don't know, I feel like he can do that, but we'll wait and see. He fits the system more. I think that's what it is.
He can cross the ball as well.
What we can see, not that he's done many crosses, but what we have seen, he can deliver. So that's what we want. We don't ask for a lot sometimes, but like you said, Kane's in there. We never cross the ball, ever. And have you noticed Kane stopped dropping back as far? Like now, if he knows that someone can cross the ball, he's not going to want to come and get it himself, is he? No. He's going to get in there, and we know he can win headers, but it's about time. So we'll see what happens. I think that's our front three from now. That's like to solidify those front three. Lucas is a brilliant sub, and he used to be a sub. Do you remember, like all the time? So we'll see how it goes, really.
And it is interesting that you say that. Obviously, Deki also has that cross within him, but I also want to say as well that we've waited for someone else to get on the score sheet for so long, and hopefully Sam, he can be the consistent one to do that as well. Because if the likes of, say, God forbid, Son and Kane get injured again, at least we've got someone like Deki that's proven that he can do it himself and he can make something out of nothing, as we've seen against Leeds.
Yeah, like Max said, Kulusevski is one of those players, just like Kane, to compare. You don't necessarily need speed to get the ball going if we're talking creativity-wise. And, he might not be able to do as good as a job as how Kane might do it, but we've already seen how he can cross that ball against City, including the one that was disallowed, because that cross was just still brilliant, really. So, maybe Kulusevski might have to play as a centre-forward or a false nine, God forbid, if Kane gets injured. I think that Kulusevski has had a bit of a slow start. People were ripping into him for his speed, but he very quickly managed to silence that criticism by being able to do what Kane also does. And the fact that he's only 21, we've signed him on loan. So, Levy, don't let this one go. it shows very good potential for the future. And, hopefully we don't see like blips like we saw at his starts when he first wore the shirt, and he can get more contributions in. That goal against Leeds was so fantastic. It was like one of your comments said, it was Bale-esque, that 1-2 from Doherty, and the way he ripped two or three Leeds defenders apart and got that into the net. In the goalkeeper's nearer post as well. That's what made it so impressive as well. The fact that he does that, you just want to see how he does the next game.
100%. It's just the confidence. I just couldn't get over the fact that obviously when you see it broken down, there's Kane shouting for it, and he's just got the confidence to be like, actually, no, I've beaten all these players. I'm going to have a shot myself. And he just has the confidence and he's high flying to do that. So I think it's something that we're all very excited for. But the two boys that we want to talk about tonight is obviously the record breakers. And Luke, I'm going to come to you for this one. Obviously, Kane gets the first goal and then sets up Sonny for the second. What can we say about those two? 37 now. Combinations, the best record in the Premier League. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, it's outrageous, to be honest, especially to beat the likes of Lampard and Drogba. It's absolutely phenomenal, and that's what I mean. Like when I'm talking about players that like enjoy playing for Spurs and enjoy their team playing with their teammates, like it's so crucial. With those two, it's telepathy in a way. They both know where each other is going to be, and whether it's Son assisting Kane, Kane assisting Son. They're absolutely brilliant. Now, put a slight damper on it. I think that Son's been off the boil the last few weeks, but when I say that, I mean like the Son that is a phenomenal footballer that we know and love, compared to the Son that's playing at the moment. Of course, he scored at the weekend, but for me, I think he just needs to just keep going, and he'll be back to his very, very best. But yeah, to talk about that a little bit more, it's just a phenomenal connection between two footballers that just know exactly what each other's going to do. And, long may it continue, and long may more records be broken from Mr. Harry Kane.
100%. That's the thing. I mean, the goal from him, Max, was, again, it was Kane-like. There's been many weeks where we've kind of missed that kind of play from him, if that makes sense. It feels like he's still a bit elsewhere in the sense that he's not, I don't know how to put it into words. He just wasn't firing like we all know that old Kane. But the game prior, Burnley, the Leeds game, I mean, that goal from him from the slightest of angles and he just dinks it in far post from the near post. It was incredible, wasn't it?
That goal actually reminded me of when the game before Nuno got sacked. When Ronaldo, it came over the top over Ben Davies' head, and Ronaldo just straight in the corner. You just think there's not many players out there that can pull off that sort of finish, because a lot of people think, defender's header in that way, you've got to keep your eye on the ball. The ball across, obviously, from Højbjerg was amazing as well. I don't think we can not talk about that. That's probably one of the best passes I've seen. So two players, they both had the best passes in the Spurs shirt. They're brilliant. But no, Kane, I think, because it's Kane, it doesn't get spoke about enough. That's why. It's just kind of people it's Harry Kane, it's expected, it's brilliant, move on. But his passing is just what amazes me. It just completely blows my mind every time, because that last goal, what a way, by the way, to break the record with that goal, because he smacked that about 40, 50 yards, and you know exactly what he's doing. You know exactly who he's looking for. You know exactly where it's going, and you know he's got the ability to do it. I think there's 3 defenders there, and he sinks it just over to Son's feet. Brilliant touch. And then he obviously finishes, and the rest is history. So apart from the knee slide, he didn't slide far enough. I don't know if you see that.
I thought he was going to injure himself, to be honest, when he did that.
It's like sometimes you don't want to. Just keep it simple. Do a little Harry Kane. Do a little jump up. Kiss the ring or something. I don't know. But 37 goals. Who knows? You'd like to think they'll break into the 40s. There's no reason why they can't. If you're not a Spurs fan, everyone's going to dampen it and say, but they ain't won a trophy. And it's like, I want to see us win a trophy, and then we can put these records to use, if that makes sense. Because we can't just keep saying, we had a great season, Kane and Son beat the record. That's it. But the players that have obviously were second, third in that list, like the Drogbas, Lampards, Gerrards, Gerrard and Torres, they used to see each other every other week, I remember. And to think Kane and Son have beat their tally is just remarkable, to be honest.
It is incredible, and that's the thing, because I don't want to say because it's Tottenham it goes under the radar, but I think it does a bit, Sam, but it kind of gets dismissed because it's Tottenham, what have they won? oh look, they've got another stat to put above everything else. Like that's kind of the thing, isn't it, Sam? It's quite sad. You want to hope this year is the year we win the FA Cup.
Yeah, 14 years of horrid banter about not winning a trophy, and it all gets in our heads, doesn't it? I mean, we got a win tomorrow. We don't know if we're going to get. Well, no, we don't know if we will get top four. Not if we're going to get top four or not, because it's so doubtful at the moment. Arsenal are consistent, with playing teams that are outside the top six, tend to lose against teams that are within the top six. But hey, this season is the nature of the Premier League. If you want to get top four, I guess that means you got to be consistent and beat, the teams that you're meant to be beating on paper at the very least. If we can beat Middlesbrough, then at least we've still got a few things to hold. We've still got one thing to hold on to this season, whilst we're also still trying to rely on on the teams above us in the table to screw up, essentially. Need United and Arsenal and West Ham basically to cock up. So at least if we win tomorrow, then we can hold on to something for this season, on to the next draw of the FA Cup.
It's such a massive cliche, though, isn't it? But we just literally have to play every game one at a time. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
Hoping that we'll win the FA Cup, it would be great, right? But it's still, I think, a pipe dream. Do you know what I mean? All we've got to do is say, right, next up we have Middlesbrough, win that game. Then after that, win the next Premier League game. When it comes to the North London derby, make sure we're winning that game.
6 points of that game.
That's it. If we keep doing that, Arsenal will slip up. I hate to talk about them on a Spurs show, but they're at some point they will slip up. Some point they will lose. They've got a really, really hard run, and they've still got Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United, Spurs all to play. And
so, what annoys me? They just keep getting results though, and they haven't even got their striker walked basically. He drove himself to Barcelona before they even announced it, and then
he scored a hat trick.
Do you know what it does? That's the one thing that I just want to get one over them. Not just beat them, but we need a trophy just to be able to say, look, pipe down now. You've done your bit, because we're not having a great season, right? But everyone was like, oh, they're having a shit season as well. But look what they're doing. They've still got games in hand, and annoyingly, one of them's still us. But I'd like to think we're at home against them. Sorry, Luke, I know you're talking, so. But
that's all right. Carry on.
They do my head in. Honestly, it's like we just need to get across that line. We've got the manager. We've got the duo that are firing at the moment. We've got everything. We've got games in hand. Surely this has got to be a season that we can just do something, to win a trophy. I was watching the Liverpool game last night. I'm sure all of you were, but how good did it feel and look to see? I was in the pub watching it, and Liverpool fans celebrating. I want that feeling. I don't want to be sat there anymore being like, oh, we're second best to this, second best to that. We came second when Leicester won the league, and obviously we didn't bottle it because we didn't have a chance because we were never top anyway. But there's been so many times where we've just slipped up right at the final hurdle. Champions League final. I'm not even going to put a jinx on any FA Cup, but there's been so many times.
Carabao Cup final.
Carabao Cup final. What was that? Chelsea, probably. I can't remember. I've been to
City last season.
City.
City, and then there's too many of these for me to want to remember. That's the problem.
I know, and that's a frustrating thing. I mean, talking about Middlesbrough, I like Mr. K has said here. I mean, they have been on a good run, I think, in the league. I think they've won their last. I tried to do my homework. I think they've won their last 2 games, but obviously they beat Man United on penalties in the last round. I mean, penalties, I think, is a potluck game anyway, Sam. But like you said, we need to turn up tomorrow, because I think we could say we can reach top 4, this, that, and the other, but we have to hope for other teams to slip up. At least in the FA Cup, it's a one-off game. And it's in our hands, if that makes sense.
Absolutely have to. Look, I might. You lot are entitled to disagree with me on that, but if I have to be honest, if it ends up with, God forbid, Arsenal getting top 4, but we see ourselves getting ready for an FA Cup final, I would be saying, put all your cards on the table for that one and just win that sodding cup, because I would seriously take that over top 4, just on that heat of that moment when at least we've still got something to fall back on and look forward to. And that's why it's tomorrow, and we cannot take Middlesbrough for mugs. Yes, they've lost their last 2 out of 3 games, but I know they're still contenders for the playoffs. If I'm not, I checked that from last week, and they were still in it for the playoffs, if I wasn't mistaken. So, do not take these teams for mugs. Just get the job done. Kill the game off as early as possible. That's all we need to do.
100%.
Like if it means having to start Harry Kane because we're not going to have any other goal scorer, so be it.
And that's the thing, because I used to be one for rotation, and obviously in the Conference League and all of that jazz, because we should have been beating those teams anyway with a rotation. But Luke, are you kind of on the same wave? Just start the best 11, so be it. I know we have Everton, but we have I think it's about 6 days to recover because we play them on the Monday. So why not go all gung-ho and just play our best team?
Yeah, 100%. And I think Conte's on the same level as well. Like ever since he came in, when we played those Conference League games, when we played the FA Cup in previous rounds, he has gone for a strong team. There will be a couple of changes, I suspect, here and there, but there won't be anything major. And I think that it's important to do that. I agree, Sam, you can't take these teams for mugs whatsoever. But I also think, of course they beat United in the last round. Like, there's always a team that does well in the FA Cup, but then they never go that far. Do you know what I mean? You shouldn't be losing against championship teams. There's no way you should. And we're not talking about, I can't even remember who's top now anymore, but West Brom or someone who's doing really well, or Bournemouth or whoever it is, right, is doing really well in the championship. We're talking about a team that are pushing for the playoffs. So what we're talking, 9th, 10th in the championship, as opposed to a team that 8th
right now.
Eighth in the championship,
with only 1 point behind Sheffield United, who sit on 7th. Look,
yeah,
I agree with what you're saying in a way. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying in a way, saying shouldn't be losing to these teams, whatever. Doesn't mean that we're entitled to win against these teams. We got to.
Of course not. Of course, you have to put that performance out. Of course you do, and I think that's what I mean. Conte won't go into this game and play the likes of Harvey White, Dane Scarlett. It won't be possible to do that. We will play the likes of Harry Kane, and I wouldn't be surprised, as Max said, if Deki plays again. I think that it's really, really important for a lot of these players to get a lot of consistent good performances under their belts. Yes, we beat City, but then we went straight back in with an unchanged team and lost to Burnley. Then we beat Leeds. So a few of these players, they need to have good, consistent games. I wouldn't be surprised if we kept the same wing-backs because they had a great game at the weekend. Why not keep these players in, bring in consistency, and move that forward? 6 days between games. That's plenty of time to play the same squad.
It's we haven't had that for a long time as well, to have a gap that big. Do you know what I mean? So, Max, it's kind of what you said. Obviously, Deki could be the one that gets on the score sheet, but kind of like what Luke says, I want to build on from that, because we all joke and laugh about, we're so consistent at being inconsistent. So why not bring some consistency into side and play those wing backs again? Do you think that would probably be a smart, wise move?
I mean, after that victory, everyone's got to be buzzing, because there wasn't really a player that put a foot wrong, was there? Other than oh, there we go. That was Lloris putting a foot wrong. That was other than that Lloris mistake, which is just you're bound to a Lloris mistake, aren't we? We're just lucky we were 3-4-0 up at the time, so it's all right. It's more of a comedy moment, but I just want, I've said it before, I'm just repeating myself, but the FA Cup would keep the likes of Kane at the club. It would keep Conte. It would mean I'll talk about the summer again. It would mean the summer would invest, but the trophy. It would just be something that we haven't seen. I've never seen us won the FA Cup in my lifetime. It's ridiculous for a team that's got this massive stadium and best striker in the world that we always argue that he is, and potentially one of the best keepers in the league. We don't the stats don't add up with where they should, if that makes sense. We deserve it, but you can't deserve it if you're not consistent. So we just got to go there tomorrow, beat Middlesbrough. Don't say, oh yeah, we're going to play Scarlet, like Luke said. We got to beat them. Go 3-0 up, then bring these players on, then give them experience. Don't go there and bow down to them and say, look, okay, you can play your football. No, why don't we go there, get an early goal, then they got to attack us. That's exactly what happened to. It's just we couldn't do that against Burnley, but the difference is with Burnley, they're a Premier League side, and they're a Premier League side for a reason. But there's no Premier League side is meant to be there's no easy game in the Prem, really, is there? It's just you've got to have we just got world class players on the pitch, and Leeds haven't. But Yeah, Middlesbrough in the FA Cup. I don't know. It's just it's so frustrating because I sit here and I'm like, we should be winning that. We all know, all four of us know that we should be winning tomorrow, but we won't make it easy. It'll be 70th minute, 0-0. Oh, what's happening? Like I can't.
We all know that we should win, and we all expect us to win. But then every single one of us has that part of us that thinks, we could lose it.
It's so stupid, and I think that's Conte is one of the only guys that you could bring in and believe that something's going to change. So I love Conte. And I feel like we have to do it. There's no one else after him that comes to mind where I think,
no.
Who else could you bring in that's going to change anything or do something? I mean, he's actually shouting out the chairman and he's not happy. You can see he's not happy. And when he's not happy, you need to fix that. Otherwise, you will lose him. He's not afraid. He said like he doesn't like losing.
But he's not going to want to go and lose perfect tomorrow. Quote from him, though, wasn't it? That like Spurs always change their managers. The one thing that stays the same is the players. Like that's the quote from that after the Burnley game that really got me like more than any of the other like nonsense that was said. Like that whole thing when that's why he was so pissed off and so annoyed, right? Because he's like, this has happened for so long at Spurs. Like I've seen it. Do you know what I mean? He's saying I've seen it being at Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? Like everything changes apart from the players. And that's the issue, right? Us fans think, oh, there's a chance we could lose this game. I bet there's some players in that dressing room that also think that. And that's the attitude they need to get rid of. And this is what I wanted to actually say earlier, Hollie. Like, sorry, I've taken over, but like
that's all right. Go for it.
Really, 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 really bugs me that Spurs go 3-0 up at half time in a game and then just sit back and pass the ball about for the next 45 minutes and concede a couple of chances and then Lloris makes that mistake. Do you know what I mean? Like if you watch the Liverpool game from against Leeds a few days before, they carried on going to the final minute, scored 3 goals in the last 10 minutes and won 6-0. Like that's the difference between an elite club and a pretty decent Premier League club. The fact that the players can keep going and keep going and keep going. At 3-0 up, I don't care. Score 4, score 5. Like, we had chances and we could have scored a lot more, but the players just kind of step off the gas and give up and think, oh, the game's won. What are we having for dinner?
I was going to say that. Do you think that's not necessarily... I think that's because it's been instilled in their brains for so long. I'm not trying to pick up an excuse. I just genuinely think that's the way they've been playing for so long. I mean, let Conte adapt the side for a little bit longer.
The thing is, none of those players have a winning mentality. They haven't won anything. They don't know what it takes to get there. So we've got this elite manager that's obviously on the big bucks, and he wants to come in and prove what he can do. He's done it everywhere. So why can't he do it at Spurs? He's got all the facilities to do so, other than maybe a budget. Yeah, because obviously you can't expect something to happen overnight in January. He hadn't been there that long, but he brought in 2 quality players. One or two, both of them you could argue fit straight in the team just like that after a couple of performances. And then what does that show you about our current team though? If you've got players that can just walk in out of nowhere. What did we have before? Like this is a team that's meant to be pushing for top 4 every season in the fans' eyes. Yeah, we look like we're going backwards. If you've got 2 players that can just literally walk in that aren't starters for another Champions League side, it kind of just shows you the difference. Well, we're not up here where we think we are.
And
That's
2
why
players
the FA Cup
that can leave on loan for like 350 grand a week that they're on, and we don't even miss them one bit.
Mm-hmm. And then they can do that in league in the French league. And Ndombele, like he'll be man of match performance over there, and that's the reason we signed him, because everyone's like watching montages on YouTube. Like everyone thinks you're signing a 10 out of 10 player, and then when you see them, they're not all that. You know, it's annoying. That's why the players that do perform week in week out do cost a lot of money.
I just wanted to bring this up because obviously we were talking about those types of players that haven't won anything, and it's interesting because there is a couple, but apart from say the likes of Lloris, they haven't been in our side for very long. So it is again, it's showing that Conte's pointing out in that press that there are players that have stayed the same, and the players that have come in are trying to install that winning mentality, and hopefully, obviously, this Middlesbrough game will win it, and it will lead us a step closer to obviously getting that cup that we all need. I just want to throw this one at you, Sam, quick. Where is it? Kev G's is put this in here. The FA Cup doesn't keep Kane at the club. Conte/top 4 does. Now, I don't know if I agree with that completely, considering Kane hasn't won anything at a club level. What's your kind of thoughts on that, Sam? Do you kind of agree with that statement, or
no? I disagree with that because Kane's been there and done that and has seen top four. He would want to go. Look, the whole thing of why he wants to go why he wanted to go last summer to City was number one, trophies. Number two, change. He wanted obviously a change of scenery of somewhere where he can go and win trophies. If Tottenham were to win a trophy, then that just changes the complexion of our view as a club. You know, we were traditionally known as the trophy winning side, like, you know, back in the 80s and early 90s. And then this whole drought with just 2 league cups between Lord Sugar, who was our chairman then, and Daniel Levy. And ultimately, you know, end of the day, we can shout about change this and change that. But I've said this from like January. I said this from day one when we had Mourinho, that 2016-17 side, it's history. Like it's not the same as it used to be, and we've got to get rid of a lot of players in that start. Never mind in the bench, in the starting 11, there's a lot of players that really they just have to go. The fact that we don't even have a proper consistent right back / right wing back is worrying enough. But you know, at that Burnley press conference, post-match conference, you know, the team let us down entirely. Conte said what he had to say, but it will just massively take the piss a lot that we have lost Pochettino. Okay, fine. Pochettino actually was losing his mind a bit towards the end, but to lose Jose Mourinho and lose Conte, but these same group of players get to stay, that would just be massively taking the piss because the errors and the issues are out there. But it's just a matter of time of when the club actually wants to deal with that. And I'm hoping, you know, there's tier 1 sources saying Conte will be backed. The question of how much he'll be backed remains to be seen. But something's got to happen because I honestly don't think we're going to get anywhere if we just like keep to how we're going at the moment with, you know, the standards of what we accept into our club and what a manager has to work with to form a starting 11. Might be harsh, that's my opinion.
No, I agree with you because again, we've been riding this wave of we don't need to invest, we don't need to do this, but it's shown we've fallen, and it's going to cost a lot more money to get back to where we were in the first place. So, like Ross has said, the summer will be key. As Max has been saying all evening, that the summer is the big one, but it's true, it is. I just want to say thanks to JM there as well. I saw that Oshling, you became a channel member as well. So thank you very much. I haven't missed it. I was looking out for that. So thank you. But no, I think, again, it was a great win against Leeds. We must win against Middlesbrough tomorrow. It will be interesting to see if we do that. I'm hoping we'll do that because I'm going to do another live watch along. And every time I've done that, I've had to sit there and watch us play painfully. So I might turn it off halfway through if it's going disastrous and be like, it's not my fault. But we'll have to wait and see. But to wrap everything up, I want to say thank you to you guys for coming on. We'll do the whole go around the circle. So Sam, where can everybody find you doing your thing?
You can find me on Instagram at Chippeck or YouTube Sam Chippeck. Don't mind if I push myself out for a cheeky plug-in, but I've been desperately trying to hit 17k subs and I'm so close to it. So hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content on match day blogs or live reactions or transfer news.
And I must say they are cracking to watch as well. So make sure you go and check out Sam's channel. Luke, where can everybody find you at Rivalry Aside TV? Where can everybody find you?
Well, yeah, they just find me on YouTube and Twitter at Rivalry Aside TV. Yeah, big up to Sam as well. Like 17k is a hell of a feat. You. So if you can hit that, mate, like big up to you. And yeah, if you aren't already a member of Hollie's channel, make sure you obviously become a member as well because you get to enjoy all of this and more. But yeah, look, if you're interested, you can check out our channel at Rivalry Aside TV. We've got Arsenal content, we've got Spurs content, and follow us on Twitter.
Love it. Thank you, Luke. And Max, where can everybody find you doing your thing as well, my friend?
Yeah, pretty much the same as these guys. Match day vlogs. Me shouting with my dad in my living room when I'm not at the games, and yeah, vlogs from when I am at the games. So DuoMax on all socials. And yeah, thanks for having me again, Hollie.
No, cheers. I enjoyed it. Like I say, I'm not very good at the whole what's the word, match day vlogs, because I tend to call everybody eggs and it doesn't work out for great content. But make sure, if that's your type of thing, make sure you go check these guys out as well, and Luke's channel, because what you do is cracking, and I want more people, because I think that's the only thing with the Tottenham fan base. We're all very supportive of each other, whereas other fan bases, they don't really necessarily do that, I find. So make sure you go check out their channels as well. I want to say thank you to everybody in the chat as well tonight. As I say, I'm getting better at pulling people's stuff out. So thank you very much.
Can I say one thing?
Go for it.
So I'm not even sure if he's still in it, but Mr. K in the comments mentioned about my Pochettino picture up here
in the background.
So yeah, if he is interested in it, you can DM me, and it's I'll whatever it costs to send it to you, I'll just send you one out for nothing. So,
and I
draw them all myself. So yeah.
I was going to say, I feel I've cursed Højbjerg and Winks because I asked you for both of those. So that's probably why they're really asked now.
I'll do a Kulu one.
No, because I'll butcher him as well. I'll jinx him and all. Don't make one of them. But no, I want to say thank you to you guys, and thank you to everybody in the chat. Hollie's Hotspurs Live is back next Monday, same time, same place, and I will be doing a watch along tomorrow. So there you go, Mr. K's, he's done it, mate. So I get involved. But again, thank you. Hopefully we're all happy tomorrow for the next round of the cup. But until next time, come on, you Spurs.